Hey everybody, Tony D and Little Joan with a hot take about what else? Politics, because we're all slowly swirling down the drain into a black hole of politics, and there's nothing else to talk about. But this is sort of a Hollywood woke hot take in that, everything's politics is bleeding into everything. And uh, Christine Welker was going to be, or is still, I guess, the debate moderator for the third debate. Now, looks like the second debate is canceled. Effectively, Steve Scully humiliated himself on Twitter by trying to DM Scaramucci. That remember that guy, the Mooch, and he accidentally used Twitter because he had a bit of a boomer moment, and he was basically consulting him about how to deal with Trump and how to deal with his tweets. And as a moderator, that was, well, most people would think it's inappropriate. The moderators are supposed to be neutral arbiters of the debate. So who have we had? Well, we had Chris Wallace, who works at Fox. But even though he works at Fox, I mean, Fox is anti-Trump too in a lot of respects. And he spent half the debate arguing with Trump. So that was 2-1. Then we had the woman from USA Today. Now, she was better than Wallace and pushed back on Kamala Harris a little bit, but ultimately, she's writing a book on Nancy Pelosi, or a biography of some kind. So she is probably, I think she was horribly biased in the VP debate. I think she pushed back a little bit on Kamala, but mostly spent all the time cutting off Pence again and again and again, and reframing things to get on board with Kamala's agenda. Not that she was purposely doing it, but that she is such a Democrat herself that she just feels that's the right framing. And it's the framing that really gets you in a lot of this. And sometimes you don't even realize you're doing it. I do it once in a while and realize, oh my God. It's like when you say protesters instead of rioters. You should really be saying rioters. You should really be saying Antifa BLM rioters. And then somebody calls them protesters. And it's like, they're not really protesters. They're vandalizing things. So it's about framing. And finally, you got Kristen Welker, who's supposed to be the moderator of the third debate. Is she biased? Now, Tim Pool just did a drill down on this, but I'm going to do this from sort of the show business angle. My opinion is absolutely. Because Kristen Welker wouldn't get to where she is if she didn't have the right politics. You look at the woman on The Mandalorian, an actress by the name of Gina, I forget her last name, begins with a C. Anyhow, she seems to be more of a Republican, or at least doesn't hate Trump. She's getting blasted on Twitter every day. She has to fight back almost every day against these idiot Star Wars fans who call her all sorts of nasty names and then turn around and say, you're transphobic and evil. Most people in show business, and that includes news or news infotainment, they have the correct politics too. They're Democrats. They're liberal, left-leaning people who virtue signal all day and say the right things and do the right things. So here's Christine Welker getting ready for her new role at NBC's Today. This is the sort of PR they put out when they move a new person on NBC's Today, because they're trying to promote the Today Show and get people to watch it. Then they'll use any excuse to put out a press release, because that helps the show, helps the ratings, therefore helps the sponsors, and then they make more money. So this is a positive news story about a new fresh face at Today, and you can see everybody's so happy she's there. But it's all PR. It's all fake. Now, it doesn't mean they're unhappy she's there. It just means that this is their job, to look nice and smile and be excited about things. Not really to drill down into important news events. Not really. But then you look at an article like this. Reporting from the White House as a female journalist, according to Kristen Welker. See, look how serious she is. I'm a serious journalist now. I'm crossing my arms and I'm not smiling because that's patriarchy. But then you look at this kind of story. 2014, 50 most beautiful. Look how happy she is. She went from empowered woman to, oh, I'm the 50 most beautiful, one of the 50 most beautiful people. Uh, she's number 4. And her relationship status is single and dating. This was back in 2014. It was okay to say a woman was beautiful back in 2014 before all hell broke loose. And you don't get to be in the system and get your wedding in the New York Times like this, right? So this is a big wedding here. This is New York Times, Kristen Welker. Somebody's on the Today Show. What year is this? This is 2017, 3 years later. And a guy by the name of John Hughes, who works for Merrick or something, marketing director at Merck in Philadelphia. Probably fairly loaded. I mean, probably makes a decent living, right? And here they are in the New York Times. Look at this wedding. It's covered in the New York Times. These people are in. They're in. That the New York Times, and like the section is love, vows. This is what the New York Times reduced to doing, because this is a safe story for them. Nobody's going to complain about this story. This is one of our people getting married. So she wouldn't get through the gate unless she had the right, correct politics. Here she is again. This is from 2016. The interview. NBC's Kristen Welker is home for the DNC. Yeah, because she was on the Hillary campaign, and she's buddy. These people are all buddy. They're all buddy. And she got to go to Philly and cover the DNC. I mean, this is a perfect thing for her. Her husband lives there, and so this is, you've been traveling the country covering Clinton. What are you most looking forward to doing the DNC? I'm curious to see if Clinton campaign can use the week to build upon some of the momentum that she's gained this summer. See, the assumption is Clinton built momentum last summer or 2016 summer. It's a leading sort of statement that's already in the bag for the Democrats. Like, a way to word that and be more apolitical would be something like, well, I'm curious to see what the Clinton campaign can do. According to polls, she's got this amount in the polls. Can she capitalize on that? That would be a more scientific way to do it. It's not that I feel she's ahead or I feel she has momentum. The polls say she has momentum. It's not about me. See, by saying she assumes there's momentum, she's not giving us any evidence of momentum. She says, I think she had a few strong weeks. That's your opinion. I think. Save the FBI report, of course. Ha 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 ha. I mean, and I think it's obvious. Again, I think it's obviously a chance for her to get a bump in the polls if everything goes smoothly. That implies she's down in the polls. So where's the momentum? The question is, will it? Well, we all know the answer to that, don't we, Kristen Welker? I mean, look at these questions. These are softball questions. What would you love to do if you could? Ugh. Was that the last one? No. Oh, and here we are. This is 2020. NBC's Kristen Welker and Peter Alexander on being the front row of a headline-making year. Weekend Today anchors are taking a break from covering the White House and traveling to Delaware for the Democratic National Convention. I mean, this is in people. This is the media. One hand washes the other, assuming that hand comes out of a Democrat. Where are the articles about two happy-go-lucky anchors covering the RNC and having a great day? You don't see too many of that in people. They don't want to cover that. these guys, and NBC itself has been very left leaning in terms of, I shouldn't say left. They're Democrats. They run MSNBC, right? That's a division of NBC, and NBC is pretty left too. That's more neoliberal than left in my view, but these people wouldn't get to their positions of making millions of dollars and being on TV and having assistants and having their own trailers and fabulous clothes, and they get haircuts every day and they look fabulous, and they go to parties and they meet the rich and the famous, and they are rich and famous. You don't get to do that unless you play ball. And right now, to play ball, you got to be a liberal, because liberals are on TV. Liberals make up all the rank and file of the entertainment companies and all the media companies. It's all liberal. It's all Democrats. Now, there was a time when it was the opposite. That probably would have been like 80s, 70s. That's when it all started to kind of turn. But prior to that, prior to the 70s and 60s, it was all stuffed shirts running things. It's all about money. Tradition. Oh, we can't have a married couple in bed on television. No, in sitcoms, they had married couples sleeping in separate beds. They had some weird rule where you had to have a foot on the floor when you were sitting in a bed scene. There was all these crazy rules because they were super traditional. Now it's the other way. Now the liberals run everything. Or at least people who claim they're liberals and Democrats run everything, because that's what's in. They've decided that's in. Until they decide it's more in to be conservatives, this is where they are. They're with their audience, and they perceive their audience as being mostly liberal. They look at Twitter and go, oh, these guys, they want us to go even further left. Let's do that. So they hire people accordingly. Now, if this shifts the other way, what do you think will happen? All these people will be gone. Or they'll change their tune. Suddenly it'll be like, well, I've been married for 20 years, and me and my husband have a very traditional relationship, and our kids go to church, and blah, blah, blah. That's what happens. So, Kristen, in my view, is not going to be an apolitical moderator. She's there to push Biden, and she'll probably be one of the last ones. And unfortunately, when Trump wins, we're going to see the pendulum start to swing back the other way. And people like her, who will be remembered for what she did, if there even is a third debate, she'll unfortunately, her career will probably be hobbled because of that. If she comes out for Biden in any strong way during the debate and gets blasted like Chris Wallace did, it won't be that Trump sends out the goons to ruin her career. It'll just be the trend will go the other way. Her association will be with the old paradigm, and they'll say, nah, you're getting too old anyway. We're going to replace you. That's the way it works. It's very cutthroat in this business. Yes, Joan. Very cutthroat. So, I think she'll be at least as... Joan, I'm rapping. I think she'll be at least as biased as the VP moderator was. At least. I don't know if she'll be as biased as, say, Chris Wallace was, where he'll argue with Trump. But yeah, I think she'll end up having to be more like Chris Wallace in a lot of respects. Unless she just sits there and just says, well, I guess I'll let the president talk because he won't shut up, and I'm not gonna be the rude one. But I kind of doubt it. If they picked her, then they picked her for a reason. They picked her because they hope she'll shut down Trump, and I've never seen her on TV, so I don't know. Maybe she's a wimp, but she's on TV. She probably has a forceful enough personality to at least call out Trump once in a while. But who knows? She may be like a deer in the headlights, and then who knows where her career goes then. But yeah, the fix is in for the debates, people. In case you haven't been paying attention.